Hey guys, Aaron Schober and Josh Lucas from Sword Carolina, and this is a video for the Paired Technique Tournament and the upcoming Study in Steel Tournament, April 29th and 30th in Greenville, South Carolina. 2017. You should be there. But this is a little bit different than some of the other paired tournaments that you see in other events. Instead of going into a manuscript and taking out a technique and interpreting that particular technique, we do things a little bit differently here. So we give you a scenario, and you have to come up with proper responses to that scenario in which you do not die. So we're going to go through all the details of that right now.
So let's talk about the scenario that we're going to be in. We're going to be using the terminology just from what we study, which is, the Liechtenauer German tradition, but, use the terminology, use the principles and everything that comes from your manuscript. The situation we're going to start out with, first off, may not be from the beginning of the fight. This could happen in the middle of the fight. This could, we thought about it, and there's a number of different ways people could get into this scenario. So don't think of it as, this is just, the starting point. This could be transpiring in the middle of the fight. The scenario is, here we go. I know, drum roll, please. One person is going to be in their right ox, up on their right side, point somewhat forward, protecting their upper right opening. The other person is going to be in vom Tag and is actually going to be cutting an Unterhau, stepping offline, like towards my back, towards my arms, very much in that motion right there. We don't want to wrangle you guys in too much on the scenario, but what we want you to do is pick one and be consistent with it throughout your demonstration of the techniques. The last thing I will point out, I keep saying right and left. If one person is left-handed, you can do it from the opposite side, as long as you remain consistent with that as well. The person that is in right ox is going to be the victor in this scenario. So the person who's cutting the Unterhau has seized the vor. This person is in the knock and the after, but he is going to do a technique, 3 techniques specifically, to overcome the situation. He's in a bad position, but he's going to use the principles from the manuscripts and the martial art to overcome the situation.
So this tournament will be judged a bit differently, as opposed to having judges and referees and everything like the other tournaments. This one we're actually going to be judging the other competitors. So if you compete, then you judge in the tournament as well. So we have a rubric set up with 4 different criteria that we want to hit. And the first one is the historicity of what you're doing. Now, you do not have to pull out an exact play out of the manuscripts to exemplify here. So you can totally do that. You can totally go right through step by step what you do. But what we want to see here is actual movements. We don't want to see lightsaber stuff. We don't want to see jumping through the air and spinning and movie style things. You guys know, I think you guys know what we mean. We want to see actual techniques, actual principles from your historical manuscript in play, used in such a way that actually defeats your opponent.
The next criteria in the rubric is actually going to be logic. And this is the logic of your opponent. He does not just throw his sword down and, oh yay, the one person who was supposed to win won. Are the movements, are the reactions that he's doing proper in that situation to where we're not just overcoming a stupid opponent or an inept opponent, but overcoming an opponent of a similar skill? Are we utilizing the martial art to overcome a skilled opponent?
The next judging criteria that we have is realism. So obviously this is not going to be a 100% realistic fight because one of you is not going to die during the performance of your demonstration. So what we mean by realism is trying to make the movements look very clean, very crisp. We want you to look comfortable with the movements. We don't want it to look like a step-by-step drill, like it's not a teaching example. We want you to run through it so where it looks like a real fight, right? Intensity is up to you and your partner. You can go through at a slower speed, a lighter intensity with less force. We want it to be nice and smooth and crisp. You can go through this full speed and full force with full gear on and everything. Like that's perfectly fine too. That's up to you and your partner. You're not going to get bonus points for doing it faster or harder, but you are going to be scored on making it look very clean, very crisp, and very real.
The last criteria you're going to be judged on is going to be variety. So what we're looking for here is a variety of different techniques. So if the person in Ridox, does the same exact block every single time, that's not a lot of variety there. Just very shortly, Aaron and I came up with more than 3 options that person had available to them in that situation. So we want to see, some differences in how the blocking is. We want to see that, and if you choose to do that, you'll be scored accordingly, higher. All right. The next thing is, it does not just have to be the person in Ridox blocks and then counterattacks, and oh, he wins, and that happens every single time. Remember that this is you're fighting a capable opponent, so we can go further into that exchange. And if you choose to do that in the plays that you pull out and produce, then you'll be scored accordingly. That can go on for up to 3 actions. So the person who has cut the Unterhau can go 3 actions of basically countering before, no more than that, but up to 3 actions he has available to them.
So that is the scoring that we're going to have for our rubric. Really quickly, the format for this tournament is going to be kind of spelling bee format, is how I picture it in my head. Yeah. You're going to run through the exchange at your realistic pace. Then you can go through step by step and actually explain what's going on. If you're working with a partner, you can have one person do all the talking. You can trade off like Josh and I have been doing on this video. And then you're going to run through the entire thing at full speed again at the end. So running through it, explain what's going on and explain like why you're awesome and all of these things, and then run through it again.
Brevity is key.
Brevity is key. If it takes you several minutes to explain what you're doing, you generally don't understand it very well, I've found. So the quicker you do it, the more succinctly you do it, that would probably score you up higher. Just a tip for you guys. You're going to run through all 3 of your responses in that fashion, and then you're done. And then hopefully you make it to the secret final tournament. So if you guys were here last year, you already know what the secret final level is going to be. But if you haven't, it's going to be a surprise, and it should be. One last thing, this is going to be one of our league events. It's going to be for the Piedmont Historical Fencing League, which Study and Seal is a part of. This will count to your league standing, your overall league standing. If you're not a part of our league, you're still welcome and encouraged to take part in this. But if you are within our league, this is one of the ones that's going to add up to your yearly level. So we're very excited about this one. We had excellent feedback from it, had a blast in it last year, and we look forward to having a lot more people participate in it this year.